All right, guys, so watch this video for Wednesday, December 19th. If you weren't in chat today, I did a very unselfish thing. I made every mistake in the book, which turned out to be just a great teaching environment, right? I did that for you guys, so I could go over my mistakes at lunch and show you exactly what not to do. Okay, all kidding aside, honestly, if you weren't there today, I did take lunchtime to break down what I consider the comedy tour of trading activities that I did today. Your trading rules are only as good as the person trying to implement them, and if you ignore them, you do so at your own peril. So I actually bought TLRY in the pre-market on a pullback after that initial pop, right? And I'm not going to go into all the mistakes I made. Let me just, because I did it during lunch. So if you weren't there, I'll give you the very abbreviated version. I held TLRY into the open. I was green when it opened. I tried to sell half almost immediately, but it fell so quickly I didn't get out, and I ended up taking like, I don't know, at least $2 a share loss in a couple minutes. So I started off my day lousy, which then led to other mistakes because I wanted to get back to green really quickly. And then I texted Wayne this afternoon. You guys, if you weren't there, I had to leave. By 1, I was supposed to leave because I had our pre-construction meeting on the house we're building, right? So I had to leave early, and so I'm hanging out, and I texted Wayne, by the way, this afternoon and said, by the way, I made made one more TLRY mistake from my phone. And he texted something eloquent back like, why in the hell are you trading from your phone? Now, I'm doing this part for Wayne because it wasn't a tragedy. What happened was I was getting ready to leave, right? And I'm sitting there watching. Matter of fact, let's go to TLRY. I'm sitting there watching TLRY. I told everybody in chat, I just know this thing, and it was trading around like here at the time. I said, I just know this thing is going to I'm not calling it, but I just have this feeling it's going to squeeze and go up to 80 bucks because I loved the setup. I love the gap up. Sellers came in, and then this nice pop, and then it's just kind of a flag, right? So I'm just sitting there watching this thing, and I had to leave. And I kept thinking, if I can take this position and just check it near the end of the day, I'm going to have a nice trade, right? With a hard stop like down here at 70 worst case, but I really thought this was going to break out. And in some cases, that's literally an advantage, right? Being away from your computer, you can't micromanage a trade. So anyway, Wayne, I'm giving you the story so when you watch the video tonight, you'll know what I meant by another TLRY mistake from my phone. So it's getting to the point, wife's in the other room yelling at me, it goes up to 74 and then starts flagging. I freaking love this, right? If I didn't have to leave, I'm taking this with size over 74. High of day just to the left. Sellers or shorts caught because the gap up, they faded it. Next thing you know, it takes out the highs. They think right here, they think it's rolling over again, and they've really, and this is already heavily shorted. It was already on my bounce playlist because it's so beaten up. And by the way, they had news today, right? So let's fast forward back up to here to this flag. This is one of the best setups I've seen in a while. I absolutely love this through 74. So I'm at my computer. Wife's in the other room yelling at me, hey, we got to go, we got to go, we got to go. And I'm like, yeah, we're leaving. Hang on. And so anyway, here it comes, right? I wanted this through 74. And I knew I wasn't going to be around to manage the trade. So I figured I'll take it. And I did take this. And I'll slide this over. So you can see I took it at, my limit was 74. I got filled at 74. That was only 300 shares. I tried to get 300 more, no fill. Then it started to look like it might pull back. So I thought, I'll bid 300 more at 98. Keep in mind, I'm trying to get a position and just leave and place a hard stop because I'm thinking this could go to 80. And I have a better chance of getting it to go to 80 if I'm not micromanaging it. Then I tried chase a little bit, 74.15, still wouldn't fill. And then finally I looked at that chart and said, this thing's going to squeeze, right? So I took my other 300 at 74.35. So I guess my average 74, 17-ish, something like that, 600 shares, and I leave. Anyway, so my gas tank's about empty, so we get halfway there and I got to stop and fill up on gas. And so I do that, and I think somewhere in here, I sold some over 76. I sold half over 76, and that way I could relax, and then I put my stop to break even, right? So now I can relax and not worry about it. And then I check it a little bit later. Hang on, it was probably, looked like this. It had almost hit 80, and then all of a sudden it's flushing back down, and I'm I'm trading from my phone while I'm driving. Do not do this at home. I do not recommend this, right? Trading, I'm looking at it on my TradeStation app on my phone. I go, man, it almost went to 80 and I missed the sell, and now it's red, and I just hit out the rest, right? By the time we get to the meeting, it's right up here. It's right up here at 80. So that's what I meant, Wayne, by I screwed up. I still micromanage it from my phone. I'm such a freaking day trader at heart that I literally can't even let things happen being away from the computer. So anyway, long story short, I'm actually, after my blunder, my pre-market blunder, remember I got caught in this down sweep and had to sell it all down here and I never take pre-market trades, and if I do, I certainly don't hold into the open. I'm actually green on the name now, but I still bundled this big time. All I had to do was just let it happen, and then, check it near the end of the day. Actually, near the end of the day, it came back. But, if I'm at my PC, I could have probably been out some at 80 like I had predicted it was going to. All right. Anyway, that was pretty much just for Wayne. So let's go back to the SPY and talk about the market real quick. So we're in this range from a little over 280, originally down to 260. Then we had this nasty candle. I went ahead and moved this line down because this is where it spiked down to in February and almost got there again at the beginning of April. I'll pan out a little bit here. And we've gotten to this area, this April low, which it hit on major volume and had a big reversal. We've gotten here pretty quickly. To me, the market is more of a long than a short down here, right? I mean, everyone's thinking the market is really ugly, and it is, and everything's heavy and nothing's really gaining traction. But we're still at support, and we got there pretty quickly. It's one thing if we sell off like this, say we had sold off like this, and then for about a week or two, we're going sideways right at support, right? Then when you break, you're more apt to have, in my opinion, a violent break. But here, this is more of a setup for a snapback bounce, all right? Having said that, tomorrow, Wednesday, is the FOMC decision, right? That's going to come out probably 2 o'clock. I think there's a conference or whatever they're going to be on at the podium talking or whatever, I think at 2:30. So I expect afternoon whippiness. For several years now, we've gone to where the FOMC decision really isn't that important, doesn't really affect markets that much. You do get some whippiness right after the announcement, but we're not there right now. We're back to these announcements are going to be major factors in the market, okay? So keep that in mind. If they raise again as much turmoil as there is in world markets and the U.S. market, we know it might get fairly ugly. Maybe maybe they raise again and their language is, but we're done for now, right? And that might stabilize the market. If they don't raise at all, you could argue, okay, now we're going to rally. But then you could also argue, man, they're not raising. There must be some really ugliness, underlying ugliness we don't know about. So anything's possible, right? But trading into a number like this, there's a lot of uncertainty. So, I'll see if we can get a clean morning setup tomorrow and a gap play or two. But just do not forget that decision is tomorrow. All right, so here's what I'm watching. ADIL actually pretty decent relative strength. And I'll go to 5-minute candle, show you what it did intraday. So it popped up here to 318 and again hit it here, 318. All right, so it's really interesting kind of over this 320 area now that it seems to have maybe found equilibrium. CRON. This one it's kind of gone into a tight range for a few days, and with TLRY getting good news today, the pot stocks may head higher. It's very clear. Let's see, you got a top right, 1173. 1173. So around, over 11 3/4, 1175. This one might break out. In the meantime, for 3 days now, it's been in a range after a gap up and then a sell-off. So I don't know what to tell you about that other than we still didn't get my afternoon breakout. This was a lunchtime breakout. If it would have stayed in this tight range until 3:30 or something and then broke, you could have had a nice little mini squeeze. But remember, time of day, one of our trading course rules, time of day matters, right? So we still didn't get the setup I'm looking for in Cron. VVUS is a very low priced, low float stock. I don't know about low float, but it doesn't get a lot of volume. I haven't checked the float. But here, on decent volume for this stock, which was still not a million shares, it popped up to 337, kind of went sideways and is curling back up on a little bit of extra volume today. So maybe it's putting kind of a bottom here, and it might be up from here. So this one's kind of interesting. You can see a recent reverse split. So maybe this is a low float. QTT has been really strong in a week tape, and it had this pop kind of flagging sideways. This might have another leg in it. TLRY, I already talked about this one. Remember, this was on Bounce Watch before any news came out today. I said this thing's oversold any way you slice it. Not a pretty daily chart, but oversold. Then they come out with collaboration with Novartis, maybe, like Big Pharma. Sounded like big news to me. So that's why I was laser focused on this one. And I'll tell you what, burn this into your brain. That's a beautiful setup. Gaps up, sells off, takes out the highs, and then kind of flags, comes up right below a whole number. We love whole number inflection points, but we love them more when you've got shorts in trouble and you've got another catalyst above, which is a high of day break, which would have been over 74.69, right? It hit 74.69 right here, tight flag below the whole number 74. Love this through 74. This is why my wife was yelling at me, because I didn't want to leave. And I did get involved, and I made back a decent chunk of my stupidity from today. I actually got green on this name, but I had other stupidity, so I still had a red day. But it was a much less ugly, for lack of a better way of putting it, red day than it was before I left. But I loved this setup. I couldn't walk away, right? So anyway, that was a nice little pop there, all the way to 80. And because of the news and a relationship with Big Pharma, and they were talking about potential for other deals, and a really oversold pot stock, absolutely going to watch this one again tomorrow, all right? TME, this was on Bounce Watch today. Again, I wasn't here for the afternoon. I don't know if this gave a setup, but maybe it bottomed out today, at least in the short term, so we'll have that one back on watch. HYRE, kind of a little breakout today in a week tape. Again, this pop here, still only 526,000, so it's kind of a quiet stock, but we'll watch it. CORT was on Bounce Watch, just another red day today, did pierce the 20-day, a good candidate for a potential bounce. And then QD, you kind of have a gap fill here now. After the gap up, a few red days on declining volume. This one might be ready to turn back up too. Listen, I've babbled long enough. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see everybody in chat tomorrow.